Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Before we dive in, I want to introduce you to the expert who will be guiding us through these powerful strategies, Brad Stevens. Brad is a purpose-driven entrepreneur and has built global businesses across 18 countries. He is the founder and CEO of Outsource Access, a multi-awarded offshoring business backed by close to 500 employees. Outsource Access has experience connecting 75 industries with virtual teams to help them scale and succeed. He also co-founded a software platform, One-on-One Connections, which is the only private label connections program for member organizations and conferences across 10 countries and 20,000 plus matches to date. Under his leadership, Outsource Access has received 8 national or global awards, including Pace Setters, Inc. Regionals, ranking in the top 7% of fastest growing companies in the US on the Inc. 5000. Ladies and gents, here's Brad Stevens.
Hello, everybody. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here and coming to attend this webinar. We're committed to trying to keep this time frame tight and make a high impact value for all of you. So going to jump right into the content here. Look in the chat. If you have any questions at all, I'm going to be diving into questions when we get to the end of it for Q&A. And for those of you who want to stay on, happen to do some bonus time afterwards and be there for Q&A and answers that some of you may have. The nature of this subject matter ends up bringing lots of different questions as we go through it here. So just making sure chat's live and active there. Perfect. We can see everybody there. Fantastic. So like I said, if something comes up, triggers a question, drop it in there. You may find that I end up answering it as we kind of go through. But if not, we'll make sure we answer those questions on the back half of it. So thanks to everybody, our amazing team, our whole offshore team in the Philippines. Actually, the quality and production that you saw here is evidence of the caliber of work that you can find with this incredible talent. And so thanks to the team for putting this together and shaping it up, and look forward to diving into it with you. So 33 game-changing ways to drive sales with affordable offshore talent. So as you can imagine, this could not all be covered here in a 30-minute time frame, but I want to talk about some of the high-level ones and drive in some specific case studies and examples that may be connected directly to your industry or you can at least relate to. And so at the end here, I'm going to share as well. I'm going to cover a lot of content here, but if you'll just shoot an email to tools at outsourceaccess.com and just put sales 327 in the subject line. I'm going to send you a collection of tools here. They're going to support you in this process. I'm actually going to give you 33 sales acceleration tasks that are all with the step-by-step protocols that we use with our offshore team that you can either use internally with your internal staff, or if you end up getting an offshore VA. Also, social media, an entire protocol that we created for social media with 19 tasks and step-by-step examples. We have a top 200 tools to automate and delegate we'll send your way. And then we have this really cool two question exercise template that I'll talk about that is a really great way to tease out exactly how you can leverage and use these resources. So I'll drop here in the chat as well, a message on how you can engage and find those resources that I'll be covering as well at the end here. And brief background, right? As you saw the intro video, I won't spend a ton of time on it. Long story short, this is my family. Got a 5-year-old, soon to be 5-year-old son, Braden, and my daughter Ella. And I grew up as in an entrepreneurial family. Had a whiteboard hanging over the fireplace growing up. Had a toy rental business in 3rd grade. Ended up having a tutoring business in high school, and graduated college and ended up starting my first business. And that's all I've done for the last 20 years. So I've built and grown companies globally, product businesses, service-based companies. So I've probably been in your shoes, whoever is on the call here, different types of industries that you're in. And I am growing my last company. We manufactured and distributed teeth whitening products all over the world. And growing that business, we ended up having a challenge with one of the products. Had a product failure issue. One of the manufacturers changed a component in one of the products, and it caused us to send about 10,000 kind of failing products globally. And it was a mess. And at the time, I'd read, a lot of you may have heard, 10 Ferris 4-hour work week. And that was a reference point that I had, but didn't know much about outsourcing and offshoring, had to dive into it, become a student, and just blew my mind what was capable and possible. And this is over 10 years ago. Which countries to use, what they're capable of, what they can do, the creativity that you kind of bring to the table to make it effective. And so that led to, ended up being able to save that business at the time. And then I had this whole knowledge about how to work and leverage these offshore resources and these case studies I'll share with you. And so I did a lot of speaking and educating for a number of years around it, and then ended up deciding to launch our own operation. And oh, sorry, I forgot I had that slide there. I forgot to mention the latest addition to our home, Chloe. This is our little one, and that's my daughter holding her there. So sorry, I forgot to share that. And just to show all of you too, this is an example of the detailed playbook. So we're going to send your way. This is a 17-step process, just how to edit podcast audio, right? So we have a bunch of these protocols pre-written and to show you exactly the kinds of tasks and what can be done. So we're going to send that to you as one of the resources. But in saving that business, was able to learn about offshoring, and particularly the Philippines is where I kind of connected with. Started working with a young woman named Jaysel, which I'll share kind of our story here in a second. And just realizing the capability and the talent. So I ended up speaking and educating on this. Hundreds of organizations all over the world, did a lot of consulting. And everybody kept saying, Brad, why don't you just launch your own operation? So in 2019, we launched Outsource Access. And as you heard, we've gone to 500 employees, 4.5 years. And the biggest thing, I found in the Philippines is it's American education system, US controlled until 1947. So you have English as their second language there. Very hardworking and disciplined. And over 800,000 four-year college degrees, per year. So there's a bunch of other fantastic countries out there to outsource to as well. But Philippines have kind of gravitated. And depending on what you're looking for in the resource, you can get for as little as $6, up to $12, $15 an hour, right? Very, very affordable rates that we're talking about here that you can engage to integrate into your business. And so this is a quick picture from our holiday party to kind of show our, nearly 500 people. And Jaysel, who was my very first VA that I started with, who's risen to leadership and in COO and in our entire organization at Outsource Access. So it's been a crazy journey. But the thing is, we're in 75 different industries. We've done everything under the sun for every business imaginable. And what we're going to focus on today is sales focused type of activities, right? A lot of people, when they think of offshoring and outsourcing, they think of cutting costs and operational efficiency. But we're going to show you ways you can actually drive the top line in the business, right? And some of these examples I want to share with you. And because of the work we've done, we've won 8 global or national awards kind of along the way. Super proud of our team for what we've accomplished and being in the top 7% of fastest growing companies in the Inc. 5000 recently. And, as a testament to learning and leveraging how to use these resources, once I learned how to work with offshore talent and their capabilities, I launched a whole nother company even as it was a side project with a partner, Jason. And in 2 weeks and for less than $3,000, launched this company. It's a software-based businesses that we do member-to-member connections for member-based organizations called One-on-One Connections. So, once you learn and leverage this, it's amazing what you can do. So that's kind of what my ecosystem is now, building businesses. I'm a part of YPO and EO, for those of you who are familiar, and Real Leaders. Do a tons of education still in speaking, and giving back is a huge part of my life. And you'll hear that we actually integrated that into our business. We're really aligned to United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So there's a ton of direct and indirect ways, okay, that you are able to drive sales in the business using offshore talent, right? And a lot of people know that this stuff that it exists, but the next question is, how does this actually work, right? How does this actually work and integrate into my business? So what I want to talk about here is some specific examples. And a lot of this it's about alleviating this pain point. A lot of you on this call and can relate to wearing all the hats, right? Tons of hats, and there's not enough time, money, speed, or knowledge to get things done, right? And that's what I found myself in. And when I really started working with offshore, talented resources. And so it's kind of like taking the things that you're currently doing or that your staff are currently doing and finding a way you can shift to what they should be doing and want to be doing and getting other things off of their plate. And it's kind of like this equation of like 1 + 1 = 4. You take a really talented salesperson, right, in your organization or sales activities, and you let them focus on the things that they're best at, that they want to wake up every morning and do, being on sales calls, closing deals, and you can pair them with an affordable, offshore resource for, anywhere from, $15,000 to $20,000 a year, then you get this 1 + 1 = 4 type of experience, right? And you get improved financial performance, happier employees, more meaningful work, and you retain more employees kind of along the way. That ends up being kind of a byproduct of it. So the resource I shared with you, and then I'll kind of pass along to you at the end, and some we're going to dive into, are 33 different things to drive sales in these 5 different, these different categories: lead generation and prospecting, sales analytics, customer communication and follow-up, social media management, sales pipeline and operations, and financial support, right? So there's 5 to 7 tasks in each of these different categories. And one of the best ways to kind of begin this journey, and again, I'll share you a template of figuring out where can this best apply that you'll be able to learn from some of the case studies, is this 2-question growth exercise, growth constraint exercise, which is simply taking you and your staff and just simply saying, what are you currently doing that isn't the best use of your time, and how many hours per month are you spending on it? And then secondly, what are things on the radar that you want to be doing that you're not getting to? And maybe it's LinkedIn follow-up. Maybe it's getting testimonial videos done. Maybe it's CRM administration. What are things that are on the radar you're not getting to that you want to? that you haven't due to time, money, or knowledge constraints? And I'm telling you, guys, if you take these 2 questions and take some time to really jump the answers, send them to your staff and say, hey, we're going to meet in a week. I want you to answer these 2 questions. It is unreal how many things can kind of come out of this to figure out where are constraints that have real top line dollar impact by getting things transitioned. And so actually, I'll send you a template that you can actually use to fill this out. And did this with one company recently, and it was amazing. Took off their information for confidentiality here, but their team members came and just had a list of stuff that was either on the radar they weren't getting to, or things that they wanted to be doing or wanted to get off of their plate. And you can see here, I mean, it added up to hundreds of hours, right? All this is dollars that got reconverted into top line type of activities. So there's a huge value in doing that, even if you never outsource anything, just by figuring out where are the constraints in the organization, that 2-question exercise. And you'll get this question a lot of times. It's like, Julie, you've been with me for 8 years. Why did you never tell me this stuff before? Well, you never really asked me, right? It's 2 simple questions that can really kickstart this whole process for you. Because what gets your attention and focus is what gets done. And that's what we want to shift is where, what do you want to get to that's getting done, right? Is what you want to do, get done, getting done because you're focusing on the right activities. So again, kind of the 1 + 1. And so this is a first case study here to share, right? A company called Home Probe Inspections, right? They use a software called HubSpot. A lot of you may be familiar with, right? And it is a fantastic marketing automation tool, but a lot of tools, we never get a chance to use it to its full capacity, right? So I had this owner, and he actually sent me this exact email, and I wanted to be able to show you in its exact format. A guy named Jeff that sent this over, his staff, Melanie. They were using HubSpot, but she was not even coming close to maximizing because she just did not have enough time to do it, right? And then his staff kind of fought him on it initially and ended up getting on board. And she sent this exact email to him, said, today I told Steph, our VA, that hiring her was the best decision I made all year. Thanks for helping me see to take a chance on it. She's blown me away with her ability to figure out HubSpot. We sure traded up, even with the limitations of virtual. The other part I didn't expect is for me, the possibilities of what I see we can do in marketing are so much bigger when I have someone who will help. So this is part of what you mean when you say be the executive and replace yourself. So, I mean, literally, these are the exact words that were sent over and the essence of getting CRMs, right? Whether it's HubSpot, whether it's Salesforce, is a lot of the tasks and functions that aren't getting to or the capabilities of it. You get a VA, get them trained and integrate, and it's amazing how much power you can get out of these tools. Another case study. This is a woman named Jana that was wanting to grow a business. She had an idea to launch a business to create a matchmaking experience for senior citizens that wanted to find senior care homes, right? And she was struggling to get the business kind of off the ground and didn't know about how to leverage offshore affordable talent. So heard me speak at an event, went and took it home, went and sourced and found some amazing affordable talent that was able to data scrape lists of senior care homes. It was able to get a website built for a fraction of the cost. She was able to go from near bankruptcy to over $500,000 in sales in just a year and a half later, and actually created 15 jobs in the United States by leveraging offshore talent, right? And specifically, the thing that they used there was data scraping and data mining. You can get offshore talent. She said, I want you to go get a list of all the different senior citizen homes. So they went and Googled, searched, and created a whole spreadsheet where they just created an aggregate list of every single senior citizen home in the country, right? And they had them go in there and get the name and contact email of the person that was in charge of administration, and it was able to do a mass outreach to get a ton of customers very rapidly and quickly. Another case study in the industry of real estate, okay? And I'm going to cover a bunch of different cross sections of industries. Industry does not matter, by the way, right? It does not matter. It's just a matter of being able to leverage and integrate these resources. So this is a company that's in the real estate space, right? And so they provide hotels for particularly for lower cost situation for construction crews that are in town and what have you. And so the way that they end up getting opportunities is they post on Craigslist, right? So they were having to do this manual task. Their staff here in the U.S. were posting on Craigslist all their offerings that they had. So they ended up hiring a VA, Edison, to take that off of the plate of the staff so they could focus on different activities. Well, Edison not only took that over and started doing all the manually posting on Craigslist for all their activities, but then found out a way, looking on YouTube, how to write some code that could do it automatically. Had a $50,000 impact on their business just in the first several months, right? So it's, what are unique sales processes in your business? Is it like posting on Craigslist was in their business that you can identify that isn't the best use of someone's time, that you can get to a VA for a fraction of the cost that can take on that process? Another example, this is a company that sells rugs. They sell rugs through interior designers in the United States, right? So they manufacture in India, they sell through interior designers in the United States, called Hyper Living. Great company. 2 owners there, Asha and Arshana, and they were struggling to reactivate their existing customer base, right? This is where we have a lot of dollars that sit a lot of times in our businesses or our existing customer base, and we don't mine it appropriately. So they got a couple, ended up getting 4 VAs, right? And so you can see here the task on the radar. This is something they wanted to get to, but they weren't getting to, was to go after dormant leads once they had current RFPs out there and reach out for trade shows and events as well, right? So got 4 VAs, right? They engaged them to go dig into 3,000 leads that they had to interior designers that hadn't sold or sent product in a while, and generated $500,000 in revenue in 6 months just by diving in, because the current team did not have the time or ability because they were going to trade shows and events. This VA team got highly targeted, worked with them on content. They did the outreach and had a huge, huge impact. The other thing, again, using data scraping, is they wanted to find more interior designers out there that they could go after to reach their business. So one of the proposals we shared too was go data scrape and get a list of all the designers. Go scrape the web, search, and just filled out a Google spreadsheet with names, emails, contact information, so that they could then do outreach to position their product to see if they could start getting them to sell for them, right? So it's these interesting things in the business, existing processes that can be absorbed, or things on the radar that you're not getting to. Another great example here. This is actually one of the largest clients that we've worked with. They've got about 80 staff, right? They started with 1 with us, grew to 80, called Lindustry Financial Services, and they provide grants, right, in a very summary format. Cities and federal and state entities that want to issue grant money out. And then they've got to go out and then be able to facilitate that whole process to get money to the people that are qualifying for the grants. Very, very administratively kind of involved. And we ended up building a whole team and management infrastructure as well. But this whole team, never done this before in their life, but because, particularly in the Philippines, they're fast learners, good communicators, and can take feedback, you can see all the different things they ended up taking on. Reading and checking docs for grant qualification, validating business entity documents as well, going and searching on Secretary of State websites to validate their entity structures. Call and communicate actually with the potential applicants for missing or incomplete information, right? That's lead qualification in sales, right? How do you qualify leads and make sure that they're a fit? And then make sure that it goes to application to funding commitment is there when they validate the process, right? So again, and it's unique in your business, but it's all of those things that you can take off and get absorbed to translates into top line dollars, right? Another one, Palco Telecom. Actually, I think they may be on the website, one of our existing clients that we've worked with. And this is a company that's in the telecom technology space as far as the equipment and what they provide. And this is Phil Terry, VP of Business Development. And a lot of times what you have is you have people that are in business development and sales. And what do they want to spend their time doing every day, right? They want to focus on closing deals, having high caliber conversations, and not dealing with any kind of detail and minutia. And so currently a lot of things that Phil was doing was keeping RFPs warm, sending out requests for proposals and following up and making sure they were engaged. A lot of extensive project planning as well that was taking a ton of his time, that was keeping him away from sales-driven activities. Ended up getting 2 VAs, Paz and Johanna, that were able to absorb project plan and communications. They helped create RFP templates and actually send them out and do follow-ups, and also do the CRM administration. So it took that entire load off of him that was taking tons of time, and furthermore, time that was not being translated into sales, so that he could focus on growing the business, right? Another interesting example here, this is a painting company, right? This is a painting company that they would go paint houses before and after, but they weren't getting the before and after pictures up out on social, right? And so worked with them and said, hey, when your painters go out, just have them take a before and after picture. And then they open up their email on their phone and just email it to the VA in the Philippines and put the customer's name in the subject line, right? So then the VA in the Philippines would get it, go into a tool called Canva, go and put the before and after, put the Wow One Day Painting kind of logo on it, and go post it all over social media, and even tag the customers in it, right? So now they were getting all these before and afters and getting tons of social media visibility that they weren't doing. I was actually in the Philippines recently, back October. And so this is Dan Ryan, actually the VA that was working with them. And I did a personal interview with him. We actually have a whole VA interview series we'll share with you as well. But just did a personal interview with him about his journey and experience, right? But a huge impact on their business. This is one of my favorites. It's called an online ambassador, right? And so you can take a VA. So a lot of you write blogs and content for your business, right? But how do you get it out there and leverage it? Okay. How do you get it out there and leverage it? So it was about taking an entire list of all the blogs that you have written for the business, right? And then give a VA. And so then they go on and they go into a place like LinkedIn, or they go into Facebook groups and they go and look at the comments and see where are conversations happening where our services could be of value. Then they go in, find those conversations, and they go grab a blog link that's relevant to it and go post it right underneath me as the owner, right? That then drives them to our website to then download a guide that then puts them into an email nurture series, right? So it's being able to have a VA live and breathe all in your LinkedIn account, your Facebook account, any of these places, but then have a whole set of assets, all of your content, any articles you've written, any blog posts that you've written, and then be able to go and enter those conversations, right? So this isn't a mass scale thing, but it's very, very surgical based on exact topics, exact opportunity, right? So it's a really cool way you can leverage these resources and the content that you have. Another company, again, showing you industry does not matter. This is a company that's in commercial refrigeration. Guy named Ling built this business, grew it. They have more than quadrupled, right, in size, right, in the last 5 years. Started with one, now has 15 staff in the Philippines. He gets private equity offers nonstop. They have no idea how fast he's growing because he's built an entire team that has just accelerated all their sales and operational activities, right? Handling dispatching, supporting whenever they need parts out in the field, managing inventory requests. Has one VA that does nothing but just chase down receivables for the CFO. They were able to eliminate their need for a line of credit by just having one VA chase down receivables that the CFO wasn't able to kind of keep up with, right? Dispatching logistics and reports and reconciling timesheets and hours for their employees. So a whole collection of things that have ultimately driven, and because they can move faster and quicker, and their business, when you go do refrigeration repair at Whole Foods and Walmart, it's all about speed and execution. And you win more business and you can charge more per hour when you can do it effectively. And because they have an agile team now using offshore resources integrated with their teams, they're winning business left and right and can do it for a fraction of the cost than their competitors, right? So industry does not matter. This is another company that provides home and health services for the indigent in Virginia, right? Provide nurses and in-home care. This is their whole local team here in the US, right? And now they've built to a team now of 6 people, where it started with operations and then it grew to sales, HR admin, bookkeeping, customer service that integrate now side by side with their entire team and draft all the playbooks and protocols, right? So it's how things can continue to evolve in the process when you work side by side. And a surprising, byproduct is kind of the gratitude that local employees, when they start working with offshore resources, they get to know them. They get to know their community, they get to know their life, their families. This is a picture a client actually sent to me. They actually have pictures up on their wall in the US of all their Filipino staff that they work with, right? They become a part and integrated into their business. And I'll tell you another big high impact in terms of sales, and any of you that are CEOs and business owners, how many of you have those shiny ball ideas, right? Your visionary ideas that you can't activate because nobody has time to do it, right? You got a whole list of ideas that you want to be executing, but you don't have time to get to it. Well, this is exactly having a VA and outsource. I was able to launch that one-on-one connections business because I had an outsourced VA resource. This is Chip Dodd, who's actually the CEO of that Support Services of Virginia business I shared with you. And because of now using an entire offshore team to support his existing employees, he was able to go launch an entire nonprofit. So he travels the world doing adventure races now, right? And the other factor is that because of having offshore low-cost resources that are paired with his existing employees, it's a retention tool, right? His employees are staying with him because they can't go work for anyone else who has the same vision that he does of hiring offshore talent to support them. So it's ended up becoming an interesting retention tool for existing W-2 employees. Another shiny ball activity. So for me, I had this idea of wanting to launch a physical walk-in location for Outsource Access here in the US. So I had this vision of it, wanted to be able to bring it to life, because by being able to show people that we have or potentially have or looking to launch an on-site location in the US, continues to increase our credibility, right? And so had this idea, had my VA at the time, go and research on Fiverr and see if someone can make a 3D rendering of kind of a walk-in facility, right? And so I'll show you real quick here, just a little bit of footage of what that looks like. I'll skip through it here. You kind of see some of the visuals, right? So I made this amazing 3D rendering video. People look at that on our website. It says new location, launching soon. We haven't been able to launch it as of yet. Actually, this happened right before COVID. But we spent $3,000 or $4,000 on it, right? We spent $38. We were able to get that full 3D rendering built, right? So it allows you to activate ideas and put things together and launch them as a CEO that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise, right? And like I shared, launching an entire business, one-on-one connections.
Right.
Another great byproduct that ends up happening here is knowledge transfer, right? Is you get your processes documented. So for a lot of you in your businesses, you don't have processes documented. So working with these resources, you're able to get your processes documented in a way that you've never done it before, right? Particularly when it comes to sales functions and sales activities. And one tactical tool I want to share with you really quick. A lot of you are kind of wondering, this all sounds great and fantastic, but how do we communicate with these resources? How do I get out of my head what I want? So there's a great tool called Screencast-O-Matic and another one called Loom, which I'll share with you and share an example where you can record your screen, your voice, and your mouse, right? So you do it, you pop it up, whatever you want to record, you can explain, then you send it over to them as a link and they watch it just like a YouTube video, right? So just to show you a quick clip here.
Hey, team, on our homepage.
I wanted them
just
to
one
edit
quick feedback.
something on
And
the
we're going to do this as a
website, so I did a quick
placeholder, this plaque
screencast,
concept. But
did a recording
there's an
of it.
award concept in the U.S. that's called JD Power and Associates, and all the companies
showed them
that
an
do it. If
example
you
of what I was
Google
looking
JD
for.
Power and Associates, you'll see and do an image search, fee type award, and there's different.
Then I wanted us to have our award on the homepage of our website look like this JD Power and Associates thing. So I was able to unpack that in my head, a couple of quick minute screencast video, and be able to send it over to my VA, right? So it makes it very, very easy to document processes using these kind of tools, right? So hope you've seen here, and I know 1 or 2 minutes over here, but industry does not matter, right? I've just shown you a cross section across telecom, real estate, wedding planning, global textiles, home healthcare, home inspections, commercial refrigeration. Only mindset matters, right? To be able to integrate these resources in all aspects, whether it's social media, whether it's CRM, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's email outreach, whether it's data scraping, all things that can all accelerate and drive sales, right? And ends up being a win-win-win, right? You know, a couple of months after I started working with my very first VA, J-Cell, she sent me this picture of children, you know, in this area, in a circle with shoes. And she said, Brad, because of the money I'm making with you, I was able to buy these shoes for these children in my country that have to walk, you know, an hour and a half to school every single day, right? And so that ended up having us launch an entire give back initiative, what we do. And it made me realize, you know, here I am in the US, I'm getting a resource that's more affordable for me, right? Then she's getting paid and making more money she's ever kind of made before, getting her access to a career and opportunity, so much so that she can even give back in her local community, right? So that's what got me motivated and excited, particularly when growing Outsource Access and the impact that we're having both for clients and on our employees, kind of on the backside of it, right? And I'll pause on this. I can share this in the follow-up that I'll send over to everybody. And we even have a magazine we launched called Virtual Success Magazine, where we showcase all of our employees and celebrate them in their journeys and their path with us. So I'll take some questions here for those that are still on here, and I'll make myself kind of available. But briefly, for those of you that, you know, curious about this kind of journey, and, you know, I can share kind of our path and how our model works. There's a lot of great companies that are out there, and then it's a part of that list. I'll even send some of them to you. But with us, you know, with Outsource Access, our process starts with what we call our OA signature discovery and matching process. It's fully refundable. There's zero risk. We typically charge $495 for it. But it is a process where we do a deep dive into your business. We get clarity about what your constraints are, where your challenges are. We share a bunch of pre-written protocols and processes we have, but marry that with what yours are, and do a deep dive and see if we can find the right talent can be a fit for you. But at any point during the journey, if you decide you want to pause it, happy to fully refund it to you. So if you go to outsourceaccess.com/process, you can see a button there that you can begin that journey, or I create a bit.ly link as well here that'll take you directly to that page. But it's fully refundable, risk-free. And, you know, we have an entirely robust onboarding process to integrate and engage with you and your business and to make sure that you're plugged in effectively. And we document all your processes as well, right? So we document everything. That's a $10,000, $15,000 value annually that just becomes a part of what we do, right? And our range is anywhere from like $12 to $15, $16 an hour for our staff, but they're fully managed and overseen by our team in the Philippines, as well as you get a dedicated strategic account manager that works kind of side by side with you. So as I said in the beginning, all of on here, if you'll email tools@outsourceaccess.com, put sales 327 in the subject line, I'll send you a bunch of tools that can help you kick off this process. And if you're interested and would like to get started with us, again, kind of completely risk-free, if you'd like to take the path and work the journey that we take people down, got this special offer that we'd like to present to you. And we'll do a follow-up email to anybody that's on here if you want to kind of take advantage. So this is our first time doing this specific content, aggregating it. No ran kind of 5 minutes over here, but I want to pause now and see if we got any additional questions that come up or anybody wants to kind of jump in as we wrap up here. And team, I can see here any questions that came across. Let's see, Dan shared, what would be the best thing to have an assistant do as a salesperson if you've never used an assistant before? Well, Dan, as I shared, and again, I'll send you guys this full list of 33 tasks as well. But it's the best thing is to really take some inventory of those two questions, that 2-question exercise, right? What are you doing that isn't the best use of your time? How many hours per month are you spending on that? And just really take time to brain dump that. Is it going and following up on proposals? Is it having to take a bunch of notes after a sales call, right? With our team, we have a VA that's right on that sales call and is taking all the notes and doing all the follow-up as part of that. So that sales rep can just focus on getting on the next call and close a deal, right? So taking time to do that 2-question exercise, what's on your plate that you want to get off that you're doing and how many hours per month, and just take time to really aggregate that. And it's amazing how quickly it'll add up. Right? A lot of times you're like, I'm spending 20, 30 hours a month on non-revenue generating activities, right? And if you close just one additional deal, that can typically pay for a VA, right? For the entire year sometimes, depending on kind of what you're selling from a commission standpoint. So that's where I would begin to that journey. What are you doing that you want off your plate? And what are the things that are on the radar you're not getting to? Right? Would you like to be doing more LinkedIn outreach? Would you like to be doing kind of more, trade show attendance? Would it be following up with, conference opportunities or local networking or masterminds, right? You can have a VA data scrape and assemble all that information for you. Let's see any other questions that came here. And I was asking, are the assistants dedicated to you, or do they service multiple clients? No, in our model for Outsource Access, all we do is directly support that one company. We chose as a business, again, strategically, when we launched Outsource Access, we chose to incorporate in the Philippines so that we can hire people that are committed to this as a career path, pay them well, provide benefits, and provide full oversight and training. And when we work with clients, we want to make sure that they're dedicated solely to that staff, to that client and that company, right? So we want them to be all in. And so in our business, our staff are a part of the OA culture and all the infrastructure and training and support that we provide to them. But then they're also, integrated fully into our client's business, right? We want to know your mission. We want to know your core values. You get assigned one of our strategic advisors that knows your industry in and out, right? And so when they're working with you, they're bringing ideas and growth strategies to the table. It's not all about us just trying to get more staff and get you to hire more staff with us. We want you to grow, right? Because we know if you grow, right, rising tide lifts all boats. It's going to translate into you wanting more, hopefully more staff with us. But it's something that we put in as part of the process. All right, I think. Are all employees in the same building or work from home? So in our model, right, since we launched and right before COVID, right, we were actually forced to learn how to do a distributed work from home model, right? And a lot of companies struggle with that. And so we've actually had the chance to be that from the outset. So we have a really nice state-of-the-art office. Actually, if you go to our website, you'll see I give you a full tour of our office there, about 5,000 square feet. And we do have some of our corporate staff that come in there. It's co-working opportunity for some of our employees that want to co-work. But yeah, that's the beauty, is that we can access talent all over the entire country because we do allow the work from home. Now, we do make sure that people have the proper internet and they have the proper setup and so forth to be able to work from home. But yeah, it's been fantastic. And we also make sure from a security standpoint, depending on what you have set up, whether a VPN or, we do customize it based on your current setup and what technology you're using, what's your technology stack that you're using, how do you communicate, what are your chat platforms, what are your project management tools. That's what we do in that entire kind of discovery process, is kind of understand what your entire set of needs are. Jamie mentions, isn't AI going to kill this, as most of this can be done with AI? I get asked that a good bit in terms of what about ChatGPT, what about AI and so forth. What I find is, and it's the same thing that I talked about earlier with a lot of the technology that currently exists. We've had tons of amazing automation technology for a long time, whether it's HubSpot, whether it's, Salesforce, whether it's other tools like video.ai that'll put transcriptions. The problem is we're still using a fraction of it because it does take time to engage it, right? And so we actually provide ChatGPT and AI training with our staff, because you take a really competent, sharp, VA, and you train them with technology like ChatGPT and AI. It's just like that case study I shared with Edison, right? He was manually posting and taking over a role for an employee, the listings on Craigslist. But then learning how to use technology, he learned how to pair technology with his ability and wrote code that automated it so that he could then refocus his efforts to even different activities in the business. So yes, will there be certain elements over time that AI, where I can just wake up and just tell my computer, hey, get me 2,000 qualified leads by noon today, right? And somehow AI will go out and do that and make that happen. But a lot of it now, it's about taking these tools. People know they exist and that they're great, but they're not sure how to use them, right? And so it takes a little bit of creativity and then pairing a resource with it to actually execute and leverage it. And Jamie said, yeah. So as far as, yeah, so it's $495. So we charge two parts, right? So we charge $495, right? And again, you use code D200, use that link, go to our website. When you click on the get started there, you can take $200 off of it. And also, and as you'll see on our website, that's I'm sending you to that process page. If you want to have a call with one of our team members that are super knowledgeable and educated, I'm going to post in here. You can do a direct link and book a call to do a deeper dive right before you engage in that process if you'd like. But because it's risk-free, we know a lot of people from seeing this and our website, they're happy to engage. But yes, $495. Discovery, matching. We do a deep dive in your business. We have full clarity about your needs, your requirements. We go to our entire sourcing team and we bring candidates to the table. We show you their background, a video they recorded themselves, show you how they performed on IQ testing, emotional intelligence testing, project management capability. And we're doing a whole process to kind of get matched to you. And again, at any point, no questions asked. You want to pause that process, we're happy to refund that entire fee back to you. But it allows us to, begin the process and the journey, right? But we want to make it completely risk-free. And once you finalize with a VA after we go through that journey with us and one or more staff that you want to have with us, then it's a monthly fee at that point, right? And so monthly, it varies a little bit based on what your requirements are and ultimately what it's going to cost from a staffing kind of standpoint. But it's around $21.95 to $25.95 a month. That you're talking $12, $16 an hour ultimately for a fully managed resource from our company, right? You can go on job boards and hire directly independent contractors and that kind of thing. But for people that are wanting to work with a company that's going to have full-time kind of employees, fully integrated into their business, documenting all of your processes and everything, which is all included as part of that price point. We're a fully managed firm that works with companies, and we have redundancy, right? If we're doing those playbooks and we have backups as well. So if for some reason, the VA parts ways or, wanted to go transition ways, we handle it, making sure we got redundancy and have kind of a replacement put in place as well. So that's kind of how our model works at Outsource Access. If you go to our website, you can see a bunch of videos and resources there that kind of explain everything as well, step by step. All right, I think I answered all the questions here. Don, I see you kind of reposted that one question. Yeah, as far as what would a salesperson do if they've never used a system before? Like I said, beginning that journey, do that 2-question kind of exercise. And then again, happy if you want to do this discovery process with us, we can do an unpack and really see what are the constraints and looking and auditing your existing sales process or activities that you're doing that can really help improve and make things more efficient. So one more question here, and I'll stay on till like 3:45 here. What is the onboarding process like for offshore team? Understand my specific sales goals and messaging. Again, and I'll pop back. In terms of, this is our 9-step process that we do. We do a needs assessment, discovery call, matching, interviews, interview evaluation, training, onboarding. So it's a very, very sophisticated process that makes sure that we're working side by side with you. It's funny, a lot of our clients, when they work with us as an offshore organization, they're like, wow, I don't even do anything like this for my existing local employees, right? That's how sophisticated our process is to make sure that we're getting you the right fit, getting their hands on the wheel so that they're adding value kind of in your business. Quick question on time zones. So in the Philippines, they're around 12 hours off directly from US Eastern time. So it's on anywhere from 3 hours off, depending on which time zone you're in, kind of in the US, right? So it's 9 to 12 hours difference. The great thing is, particularly with the screencast recording that I shared with you, so a lot of times, most of our staff work hybrid hours. So, their evening is our kind of morning, right? So a lot of times, if you need to have live chat or engagement, you can kind of do it during that time. And then using like screencasting, like one of my, VAs that I work with, we haven't had a live conversation, I think, in like 2 years. Right? Because using the screencast recordings, I can record what I want, how I want it done, send it over to her. She can watch it, execute it. And it's kind of nice. I wake up in the morning and my inbox is full of completed tasks, right? Now, there are clients that absolutely want their staff to work local hours. And if that's the case, we absolutely have people that want to work those hours. They kind of prefer night shift, right? Depending on where they are lifestyle wise. So we absolutely have people that work kind of night hours and they'll work your local hours if you're in the US. We also service Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, and Canada as well. Those all have kind of different varying hours. But it's not as big of an issue I thought it would be in launching this business in the hours piece, because actually a lot of people like having kind of working 24/7. It's like while they're awake, they're giving tasks, they're doing screencasts, and while they're sleeping, tasks are getting done. And the nature of a lot of the work of what people are doing can be done kind of at any time. But we absolutely, again, in that discovery matching process, we get real clear about what your hours and requirements are so that we can make sure that we're getting someone that's a fit for what your needs are. And in the beginning, during onboarding and training, they may end up working more your hours and working kind of more nighttime as you're kind of getting onboarded and trained, but then it may shift more to kind of hybrid hours as you kind of get into a good flow with them. And last question here, I'll jump into is what level of oversight and management will be required from my end for the outsourced sales team. Again, that's part of, as you see, kind of the rigor that we put in place is every single one of our staff is part of a team, and they have a team leader, right? So they have a team leader in pods of 15. So your staff will be in there, and they're grouped based on industry. So when you get work with us, you get an outsource access staff, a team leader that's managing and working directly with them, making sure that things are being done, supporting them in their journey, making sure that playbooks, as I talk about, we're documenting and get all your processes documented. But then you also have a strategic account manager as well. And that account manager's job is to work directly with you as a client from a strategy standpoint, from the very, very beginning through the life of our relationship. And their job is to know your industry, know it in and out. They subscribe to all your industry kind of newsletters and be there to look strategically, where's our opportunity for growth and expansion, kind of in your business. And again, if we do a good job supporting you and help you grow, we had one of our account managers, Bea, recently, and we were working with an e-commerce company, and she had some prior experience in Shopify and helped them kind of recraft their entire e-commerce strategy as a part of our strategic advisor, right? And we don't charge anything extra for that. So for our fees per month, you're getting someone. We don't have long-term contracts as well. You can cancel on a 30-day kind of notice with us. You get all your processes documented. It's a, $10, $15, $20,000 value, depending. We have some clients that we have a 180-page process documentation thing that we've done for them. And you're getting a strategic account manager, an advisor, right? So you're getting somebody working side by side and being your advocate kind of in the journey. So it's all about having good oversight and support, kind of in their roles. All right, everybody. Well, I know we ran over a few here, again, kind of getting a handle on sort of this new content. And it's tough for me when I do these slides and sales acceleration. There's so many awesome examples and great case studies. And we'll send you some links of some additional recordings if you want to see. But this is just to give you a sense of a way to go down this journey, do this 2-question exercise, take a look at the playbooks and examples that we're going to share to you of the types of things, those 33 things that we'll share with you that can be done. And then kind of take a look inside your own day-to-day. And where can some of those be a fit? And as I posted there, and I'll share here again, encourage you, if you want to, before you begin the journey, if you want to book a call with actually Dan from our team, he's actually based here in the US, and can answer a bunch of your questions and help you down the process. So I'll post his LinkedIn again as well. So you can, I don't think I posted it to everybody there. So I'll post that there. Anybody can book a call and connect with Dan if they'd like. Well, thanks everybody so much for being a part of this. We'll probably make it a 45-minute webinar next time, and we want to be sensitive to everyone's time, but also make sure we add plenty of value and give you some case studies and examples. We covered 8 or 9 different industries. We covered multiple functions across email and calling and CRM and LinkedIn and everything kind of in between. So hopefully it gives you a taste and a sense of where and how this can be game changing. This 1 + 1 = 4, right? You take your current process, your current sales team, you pair them with affordable resources that can get things off plate, do things you're not getting to, and it just can drive top line revenue, like some of the examples that I shared with you. So thanks again to our incredible team for helping put this all together and shaping it up. And I'll remind everybody that is listening to this on the on-demand recording, if you shoot an email to tools@outsourceaccess.com, put sales 327 in the subject line. You can imagine we have a VA on our team that'll get that and kick out to you a link to all the resources that I mentioned and promised. But love to hear from your journey and love to hear your path. Go ahead, whether it's with us as a company or you go down a different path. We're just an advocate for this entire industry because I've seen how it's changed my life, changed the lives of our clients, changed the life of our employees, and we hopefully it'll have the same impact for you. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. And look for our next ones coming up. We'll be diving into different kind of subject matters around this topic going forward. Take care.